All right, welcome to the Aloha Friday Drip here on the Growthcast. My name's Tyler Devereaux, here with Jackson Campbell.
It's me.
We're pumped to talk to you today. We just, last drip, we talked about exiting a property, and which is fun because we're exiting one in, what is this now? What's today? Wednesday. So we'll be exited out of Signal Hill by next time this week. Wait, Friday. Today's Friday. Well, okay, it's actually Wednesday, but this will drop on Friday. I was going to try to hide it, but it's Wednesday. Okay, we don't record these live.
No, we don't. No.
But man, I'm pumped. Okay, what are we talking about today, though, my man?
Okay, no, that episode was awesome. It was awesome. It was very good. It was a very good episode. For those of you that didn't listen to it, go back and definitely listen. Before we get started, too, and dive into today's episode, also a reminder to always follow, like, subscribe, leave a review so we can make sure that we can connect with as many people as possible. Today, we're going to be talking about business partnerships and relationships, how to pick a business partner.
Sure.
Right? I know you and Ryan Woolley, your business partner for 5+ years now, you guys have a very good relationship, a very good friendship relationship, but you also have a very good business working relationship.
Yeah.
So I wanted to dive into that subject today with you and kind of dissect that, how you went about picking Ryan, how you guys got connected, and the things there that make your guys' relationship so solid. So the first question I want to ask is why did you pick Ryan?
Okay.
How did you and Ryan become partners?
I freaking love this topic, and I'm going to tell you right now, everyone, I want you to take notes throughout this thing, man, and listen to what I'm saying right now. Take notes on what this is, because partnerships are going to be critical in your business, period. And it doesn't matter what business you're in, whether you're in the multifamily space that we're in, that most of us are in, or you're running a different business, you are only going to get so far on your own. You need partners. And Ryan is a perfect example of this. And I have multiple business partners. Man, I consider you you are a business partner of mine, no question.
Yeah.
We have Ryan, who's a business partner, Todd, who's a business partner, Dallas, who's a business partner. I mean, we have tons of them, right? Especially on all of our properties and everything like that. But Ryan was that first business partner for me in the multifamily space. And I don't believe that I chose Ryan. I believe that Ryan chose me. And I'm very grateful that Ryan chose me.
Yeah.
I had been working on, I'd done different businesses and I'd been working on properties, but all of a sudden Ryan just kept providing value, like, dude, nonstop value all the time. So I actually started in the multifamily space and started growing and buying properties with other people, but Ryan just kept providing value, dude, nonstop until the point where I was like, dude, I need to partner with this dude. Like, This is the dude I need to partner with. And Ryan, though, he was not providing value. I don't believe he was providing value hoping that he could partner. He was providing value because that is who Ryan Woolley is.
Right.
Anybody listening to this, if you've ever worked with Ryan, talked with Ryan, you know that, man. And you're going to realize some of these things I'm sure that we talk about today, you're going to recognize in Ryan. You want to know why? Because I'm sure that most of the things you'll ask me today, I learned from Ryan. It's a huge thing. So what do I look for, though? I look for somebody that's just, man, obsessed with growth. I think that's just so important in any partnership. Somebody who wants to grow with you. I believe one of the biggest disconnects is when one partner is growing and the other one is not. So it's this continual, checking in that you're both growing and both on going in the same direction, right?
Right.
Somebody that I can trust, somebody who's fully committed, somebody who has good communication. I want to see how they handle problems, because problems are inevitable. So I want to know, how do they handle problems? Are they dramatic with those problems? Or are they able to push the problem aside and focus on the solutions? I want to partner with somebody. This is a huge one. I learned this early on. I started partnering with people that really had the same skill set as me. And our strength, or what makes us powerful, isn't that we're the same. Really, our strengths are our differences. Right?
Definitely.
That's what makes us powerful.
Yeah.
So looking for somebody that has a different skill or a different value that I don't have, because then now together we can provide more. Somebody who has just, once again, obsessed with growth, speed of execution. Ryan is the epitome of somebody who takes action. So I don't know. That answers that question.
No, you mentioned in there, I kind of want to touch on this. You mentioned on there that you were doing deals with other people prior to partnering up with Ryan.
Yeah.
How did that switch happen? What happened there?
Really, it was just Ryan started providing tons of value. And I felt like I was you know, I don't know. I edge into this one a little bit gently because I still love those dudes that, you know, my core. They're some of my best friends to this day. We still talk all the time. But I felt like a lot of times I was doing a lot of those things by myself.
Yeah.
And listen, they will tell you the same thing. They get it. There's no ill feelings with me splitting off and going with Ryan. They understood it. Yeah. I saw this vision. I had this, and this is actually important, man. This is important. I had this vision, and I knew, dude, that multifamily was where I needed to be because I knew that it was going to get me to where I wanted to go, which is, man, I'm not in this for recognition. I'm not in this for, I want to take care of my family. Yeah. I want to put my family in this position of security, and I couldn't let anything hold me back from that. And that's not trying to be selfish. That is being intentional, bringing attention to your intention. And I saw Ryan just being a huge value to that, man. So I reached out to Ryan. I believe that Ryan chose me, and I was just lucky enough to be able to
recognize that.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So, off the top of your head, what are 3 characteristics that you look for, or just some characters? It doesn't even need to be 3. What are some characteristics that you look for in a business partner when you were making that decision? Was there anything specific you were looking for?
Okay, so yes, definitely. And we mentioned a couple of them, but if I was going to pull out some of the most important, this one is one, if you're listening, write it down, right? You're trying to choose a partner, and who that partner, what do you want that partner to have, and what characteristics and qualities and those kind of things. So the first thing you need to do is you need to focus on yourself. Who are you? Who are you? You know, define the 3 most important qualities that you need to become better at to be the best partner, because you're going to attract what you are. And so we need to improve ourselves. That's why this podcast is the Growthcast, because we need to continually be growing as individuals and recognizing that we're not perfect. We all have flaws. We all have strengths, but we all have flaws too. And so we need to identify those things that we need to get better at and be obsessed with improving as a person. Because if we can do that, not only will we attract better business partners, but we'll be a better business partner, which is, I think a lot of people put that one to the side and they're critiquing all these other people instead of just taking a second and critiquing yourself for a second.
Yeah. No, but that makes sense because then you know where those biggest gaps are.
Yep.
For when you're looking for a partner, you know, I'm looking for a partner with those gaps that I'm missing. So that's huge, is evaluating yourself first. What else?
Being better. Along those same lines, man, I would say being humble and confident. And those are the same in my opinion. I believe the most successful people that I know, they walk this line of, you know, of confidence and humility. Like, I believe most people err either one of those directions on the other side instead of in the middle. Meaning, if you're too humble, that means you're lacking confidence. You're lacking confidence in yourself, right?
Right.
And then then we also know those people that are just way overconfident and lack humility. Mm-hmm. And it is this fine line that we need to walk in the middle of definitely being confident with who we are and the direction we're going, but being humble to understand that, man, other people have things that we need and valuable things that we need, and we can learn from everyone, dude. Learn from everyone. So we don't always have to be right. You know, when we go into this situation and you're trying to make decisions as a partnership, you don't always have to be it doesn't always have to be your way or the highway, man.
Right.
You need to walk that line of humble and confident. Sorry.
So you're confident in what you know, but also being humble to know that you don't know everything.
Totally,
and that
man.
Others have that value to add to you as well.
Yep. Okay. So, I'll stress on this too. If you were to ask, you know, what has been a key to your success, and I believe that it's humility. And I believe, and I'm very conscious of it. You want to know why? Because, in fact, I actually just watched a podcast or listened to a podcast that had Michael Strahan on it.
Okay.
You remember who he is?
Yeah.
Freaking stud. And
does that surprise you that I know who that is?
No, come on, dude.
All right.
No. He explained it exactly how I feel. He said something along the lines of, I'm super conscious of maintaining humility because I'm fearful that if I don't maintain that humility, then I'm going to lose everything that I have. And it's exactly how I feel. Really? I believe, and I feel this to my core. Like if I get prideful And I despise that stuff.
Yeah.
But if I allow myself to get down that road and not stay humbly confident, so I believe I'm going to lose it all. And I never want to lose anything that I have. I want to just continue to grow.
Right.
So humility is huge.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we do an episode in itself on that eventually.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what else?
Then just the obsession for growth. You know this about me, and it's one thing that we talk about a ton.
Yeah.
In all the companies and all the company meetings. It's just growth, man. It's growth. So this obsession with growth. And I'd mentioned this, but when partnerships struggle, it's usually when somebody's outgrowing the other. And that's in, once again, marriage, business, anything. So that we both are going the same direction. You know, so many times we focus on speed or how far we can go, but I think the most important thing is to focus on direction. Are we all going the same direction? And certainly growing together, but growing together in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
But to do that, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable with each other. You have to address issues quickly, and you have to apologize and then forgive even quicker.
Yeah.
Ryan is so quick to move on from things. And you know this about Ryan, but maybe some other people don't.
Yeah.
We will have these times, and Ryan is so much better at this than I am, but we'll have these times where we need to correct each other, right? And Ryan is so much better at correcting that in a good, and so is Todd, so is Brittany, just addressing that in a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, empathetic or mindful way.
A loving way. Yeah.
You also know this about me, that that's not necessarily my strength. My strength is I'm willing to have hard conversations.
Yeah.
I'm willing to address issues.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to address those in the best way, but I also believe that I don't want to get hung up in trying to think the approach. I want to address the issue, which is certainly attacking the problem, but focusing way more on the solution. But there's going to be times, man, where I come in hot and I need to apologize, man.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be times when Ryan comes in hot or does something and offends me, and then we forgive, man. And that's the same with all relationships for me, for business and for marriage. All this stuff is they go hand in hand, because relationships are relationships.
Yeah, it's relationship 101 for sure. Yeah. So that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about today. You're working with a business partner, and they're working hard, but they're maybe not being effective. Maybe they're not pulling the same direction, right? We just talked about growth.
Yeah.
Maybe they are growing, but maybe they're going in a different direction that you are. What do you do there?
First, I love that question, bro. That's a great question. And so here's the first thing, and this is another thing that every one of you need to write down. And that is, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt, man. What I mean by that is most people are not they're not intentionally effing up. They're not intentionally doing something wrong intentionally. They're working hard. They're doing the best that they know. And you know what? Most people, they just need to be told, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I see. So you have to have this system that ensures that problems are brought to the surface and that the cause is diagnosed, right? You'll hear me. This is when a problem happens, okay? Dallas talks about ask better questions, get better results.
Right.
Here's the question that I have asked and that I stress. I know you've heard me say this too, that has accounted for millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, which is, what's the solution?
Right. What's
the solution? And that just assures this continual improvement is happening. And that's where obsession with growth comes into play. I believe that's why I'm obsessed with growth, because if you are obsessed with growth, you want to know where you're dropping the ball. You want to know those kind of things. So it's also, just once again, though, it's so important what you focus on, right? So focus on the solution. What's the solution? What's the solution? Most people just harp on the problem and they hone in on the problem and they obsess over the problem. Dude, we need to be obsessed with the solution, not the problem. Problems are going to happen. It cracks me up, and I know I'm just kind of going on a rant here.
No, that's
good.
But
bro, it cracks me up when people get words today, bro.
It's all good. It's all good.
Get surprised that there's a problem.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Problems are going to happen. So take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. I tell the kids, smell the rose, blow out the candle. Do the same thing, okay?
Yeah.
And then just realize that problems are going to happen, man. If you're not failing, if you don't have problems, you're not pushing your limits.
Right.
You want to know how I know that we are pushing our limits and we're growing? Because we have problems every day, all the time.
There's always things to fix, for sure.
Now we need to reframe how we focus on those things or how we view those, because those are potential. So if you're not pushing your limits, you're not maximizing your potential, and problems show you where you can grow into that potential.
Yeah. You talked in your answer, you just talked about having a system to address those.
Yeah.
What's that look like for you and your business partners?
Okay. So first, number one, most I mentioned one of them, which is focusing on the solution, not the problem. 95% on the solution, 5% on the problem. Really, we just need to identify what is the problem, what is causing it, so we know how to fix it, right? And then I'll walk you through a little system, but most problems need to be just solved immediately, man. Solved immediately. Like, what is the problem? Make a decision.
Yeah.
Make a decision, and solve it. But if I were to, some problems need a little bit more thinking. One of those is to get...
Before you get into that, can I give an example on the fixing it immediate?
Love it, yeah.
I've obviously been working for Ty for a couple of years now, and when I do see these problems pop up, when he means solve them immediately, he means solve them immediately. For example, on the phone with Ty, hey, Ty, having this issue with so-and-so. Ty, hold on 1 second. Calls that other person, 3-ways them in, and we take care of whatever that issue is right there at that second. So taking care of it immediately means taking care of it as soon as possible.
Totally.
So that's just an example of what Ty means by what he says. Taking
I love
care
that you
of it.
share that example, because that is so important, man. If that problem is with somebody else, some other person, and you're calling me about it, I'm going to 3-way that person.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it collectively.
No, and it's effective.
It's super effective.
Super effective.
Once again, most people want to be great.
Right.
And the only way that they can be their greatest, reach their potential, is when we have this open communication of, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is from my perspective, what's hurting or hindering or whatever. And then they're like, oh, shit, I had no idea. 99.9% of the time, that's
exactly what happens. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea, And then you solve it. There is going to be those times where people take offense, right? People take offense to correction. And this is something that you should write down as well, every single person out there. If you enjoy praise and you like to receive praise, well, praise and correction or what's the word I'm looking for? Geez, I'm struggling with words, really am. Feedback, those are the same thing. That's the same thing. Both of those help you grow. One gives you confidence. The other one shows you how you can improve.
Right.
So if you enjoy praise, you need to learn how to enjoy correction.
That's huge.
Huge. It'll help you grow as a person for sure. So solve them immediately. Another one would be to get very clear on it. Okay. And what I mean is removing this distraction. Well, first off, getting clear. What I mean by getting clear, is this really something that you should be putting energy into?
That's the best question to ask yourself in situations like that. Is it worth the fight? Is it worth the energy? Yeah. No.
Is this worth my energy right now? Is this really going to matter 5 years from now, 5 months from now? Shit, dude, 5 minutes from now.
Right.
A lot of the time, I don't know most of the time, but a lot of the time, if you just take a second to truly ask that question, you'll get a better result of understanding, oh, no, actually, I need to move on to something different.
Right.
It's not worth harping over.
Exactly. It isn't an issue.
Yep.
Essentially, it isn't an issue, except you're trying to make it one. And when you realize that is when you can stop it for sure.
Just remove the emotion. And then number 2, I would say, is eliminate the distraction. And what I mean by eliminating the distraction is most people, when there's a problem, they immediately start to place blame. Look for someone to blame. And sometimes they blame themselves. Sometimes they look to blame other people. Blame is a distraction. It literally does no good. It doesn't matter who's at fault. That does not matter.
Right.
What matters is how can we fix it? So let's put our energy there. Number 3, I love this question, by the way, because I think about this regularly. I think systems are so important. Number 3 is to get very clear on what it means to solve it. How are you going to know when it's solved? What does solving it mean? What does that end result look like? Because if you don't define what that end result looks like, you're going to have a very hard time putting together the solution to get there.
Right.
And then also, you might not ever check it off the list that it's done. Which means it just continued to wear on you. And did we solve it or not? So define what solving it means.
Yeah.
And then go after it. Right.
Taking action and solving it.
Yep. And then I'll give you another one real quick, which is learn to enjoy them. Learn to reframe problems. And I know that sounds silly, but I believe that problems are something we're always going to have. I know that a lot of us have this notion that one day we'll get to this point where we don't have any problems. Everything's just, that's not reality. No. We know that's not reality, but sometimes we make up this little fantasy. So realize if problems are going to be something that we're always going to deal with, man, learn to enjoy them.
Yeah.
Learn to enjoy them. What can I learn through this process? And focus more on who you're going to become at the end.
Yeah.
Right? Don't focus on the now. When you magnify the now, stress is also magnified. Magnify the future. Who am I going to become? Or we as a partnership, or we as a business, or whatever. Or this person that I'm solving this problem for. Who are they going to become when I can solve this problem for them? And how valuable is that going to be for them? Right?
Yeah.
So we're just reframing problems.
Dude, one of the things Dallas teaches too is new problems is a sign of growth.
Yes.
It's a great indicator that you are growing.
Yep.
Because if these new problems aren't arising, it's because there's nothing new happening. Totally. There's no growth happening. So yeah, dude, it's exactly that. It's realizing that problems are a good thing, dude. I look forward to new problems because that means there's something new we're working on. There's something new that we're growing towards. So even to look forward to those problems, to know that those problems are going to come, and it gives you yet another opportunity to add value.
Totally, man.
Absolutely.
And understand that they're happening for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to remember in the heat of the moment, and I get that. But this is, once again, why asking better questions will get you better results. And just sitting down in that moment once again and just being like, and just literally voicing out loud, man, you know what? Thank you. This is happening for a reason. I don't know what that reason is yet, but it's happening for a reason. For example, we're buying a house out here in Maui, and which is something that I, have fought back on forever. I've been a renter to my core. I rent and I invest. That's what I do,
Yeah.
But it's just time. But man, there's like nothing out here in Maui. And we finally find this house that we like. We put in an offer, and the seller comes back. And they're like, the broker comes back, and they're like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. We literally just went under contract on this property like a couple hours before you submitted your offer. I'm so sorry. And our offer was better. They wanted to take our offer, but just went under contract. And the heat of that moment, man, an emotional decision, because that's emotion.
Yeah.
Where you're like, what?
Yeah.
Come on, like, God, really?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to do me dirty like that? Instead of just sitting back and being like, well, okay, that's for a reason. There's a reason that just happened. Even if you don't know what that is, just have this hope and this belief that there is voice it out loud, dude. And me and Brittany do this all the time. When we did this in this moment, man, we're driving back from after hearing that. We're like, all right, it's happening for a reason. And even if it's hard for you to believe that, keep voicing it out there. And you know this, but 2 days after that, we go to this random beach party dinner thing, and we run into somebody who connects us with somebody else who brings us a way better property than the property that we...
Brought you two.
Yeah. And both of them were better than the one that we'd submitted an offer in, and we just went under contract, and we're now set to close here in 45 days, 60 days, whatever it is.
That's awesome. That's news to me. Congrats, bro.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So we kind of went off on a tangent here.
We
kind of went down a rabbit hole on solving problems, which is good, dude. There's problems are going to come up in business partnerships. You're going to have these problems, and if take notes on what Tyler's talking about when solving these problems, re-listen, because really I've been able to see so much growth in both Multifamily Capital Partners and the Multifamily Mindset because everybody is so solution based.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all have that same mindset and that same driving force of solving the problems instead of harping on them.
Totally.
But let's get back to business relationships here.
Okay.
When you're building these business relationships, obviously you're going to have meetings with people and talk about things. What is it that they're trying to accomplish? So, and I know that this is something that you talk about often of making sure that your morals align, that your lives kind of align with each other, but also that your goals align.
Totally.
That you guys were trying to achieve the same thing. Talk about. I would love to hear the importance of why do business partners' goals need to be the same?
I love that, man. So yes, we need to know what those goals are, and I believe that's not just with business partnerships. We just had an interview. Courtney's in here as well. We just had an interview yesterday with Alex. Alex, if you're listening to this, great interview. She's coming on board, and one of the first things that we ask are, "What's your goals?" Why? Because culture will trump strategy all day. And so we want to make sure that the culture, it's a fit culturally, right? We're all on the same page there.
So what are those goals, man? And do those goals align with this position that you're coming into? And if not, well, then that's going to cause frustration. So what are those goals? And be mindful of what those values are. So I always want to know what those things are because I want to help those people get there. If somebody doesn't care about your goals, that's a huge problem. Yeah. That's a huge problem. Ryan, I know that he's done this with you. He's done this. He does it with both of us all the time.
Yeah.
And I just talked to Dallas, I think it was yesterday, and about the same thing. Ryan does the same thing, man. We have this habit of when we're sitting down, we're talking with somebody, especially for a position or really just like we're helping them grow. We want to help them grow. It's what are your goals? Before we talk anything strategy-wise on how to go about it, what are those goals? I want to know them. I want to understand them. I want to know what your plans are. Like I know that Ryan wants to set up a trust fund because his grandpa had set up a trust fund, and that trust fund helped him and his family go on these vacations for years and years and years, maybe even still this day, I can't even remember. And he wants to create this trust fund to make sure that his kids are taken care of, Rhett and Riker. And he wants to start a charity because he loves giving back. He wants to have a net worth of $100 million because he feels like that's what will get him to where he needs to be to do that. And I don't know, that was at the first of the year. That might be even...
It's probably changed now.
Changed now because they always do. So why do we want to know what their goals are? Number one, so that we can be aligned. And number two, if you are aligned, that helps you with this decision. Is this the right person? And then if it's the right person and you're aligned, well, shit, man, that's awesome because now you can be all in because when he or they succeed, I succeed, you succeed as well. So it's huge.
And it also, I think it helps too a ton with moving forward in business, right? If you guys have that same end result, right? We talk about definite major purpose all the time.
Yes.
On the podcast and just every day we talk about our definite major purpose. So if your definite major purpose is similar or the same, it makes business decisions so much easier. Totally. So that you don't have these problems that we were just talking about.
Yep.
Right? If you guys are aligned, it makes it so much easier to make the decisions to the goals.
Dude, which is communication. We mentioned that right in the very beginning. And this is something that you continue to learn, but I learned this with Brittany too. And Brittany we want to be on the same page with everything. So what are we working towards? And because when you define that and you can clarify that, well then, okay, hey, I have to go into the office and I have to put in some extra hours, or I'm going to come in, I have to come home late tonight, or I have to leave to the office early today, or whatever that is, some sacrifice, I guess is my point. It's a sacrifice for both, but it's a sacrifice for both in a good way because we both have the same goals, man. We're both working towards the same things. If I need to, leave work early to go and spend time with family, which I do that all the time too. I'm doing that today.
Yeah.
That's, I end the day at 2 and go spend time with family. It's on my calendar. It's there every single Wednesday. Why? Because we know as a group, as a company, that if we can help each other fulfill our purpose, then we are going to be better in the workplace, period.
Yeah.
So communication there too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kind of skip down here a little bit since we're getting a little bit longer on time. So I'm going to skip down on some of these questions that I had for you.
Okay.
One of the ones that I really wanted to ask and talk about is what makes a partnership last?
What makes a partnership last? I believe it's the same. Can I give you an example of this?
Yeah, absolutely.
With Brittany, this is what I learned with Brittany in the very beginning. So you'll notice that almost everything that I always relate back to Ryan and Brittany. You want to know why? Because they're selfless people. And when me and Britt first got married, as this example, it's still like this today, but definitely I noticed it so much when it first got married, which was we didn't keep track of who's done the dishes last or who did the laundry last or who did whatever. We focus on serving each other. The joy is not found in skipping a chore. The joy is found by saving your partner from having to do that chore. It's service. So it's the same thing in a business partnership. It's positivity, it's love, and it's service, Positivity, love, and service, which is just key. And checking in regularly, that's what makes it last. When anytime, and I talk about this all the time, I call them response blocks. But when I teach a class, I talk about it all the time, which is just, I want to know what the issue is. If I'm at a class, I want to know what that issue is. Because if somebody has a problem, tell me what that problem is, and then let's find that solution. So
if you bury this problem or you sweep this problem under a rug, then what happens is that you bury your chance for growth. And growth obviously is key to success. And that problem will eventually come out, and it'll come out in a way that you don't want it to come out. If you procrastinate on problems, they become big problems. And it's a lot harder to solve a big problem than it is to solve a small problem. But in order for that to happen, you have to be willing to address it immediately up front, or else they're going to become big and very detrimental.
Yeah. No, that's huge. How do you go about keeping your partners accountable? Right? Because there's a level of respect there. Mm-hmm. When you're business partners with people, you want to respect and have confidence in them that they're doing the things that you guys have agreed upon for them to work on and for you to work on. Mm-hmm. But you also want to make sure that your business partners are staying on track and doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. So how do you go about, in a respectful manner, keeping each other accountable? Because I'm sure Ryan keeps you accountable. I've kept you accountable on things. You keep me accountable on goals. How do you go about doing that?
Man, I think people look at accountability as a bad thing or something.
I think so too.
It is. People look at
it's
not. It's a great thing because once again, I know I've said this multiple times, but it comes back to growth. If you're obsessed with growth, you want to be held accountable because that's where we're growing. So the way to do that though is to have clear goals, like direction, right? Clear goals. And I look at it almost like this lighthouse, this lighthouse in the distance that we're working towards. We're never getting there. I'm never going to get there. It's always going to be in the distance. It's always going to be just out of reach. But we need to know what that lighthouse is and make sure that we're in the same direction. And that's continually just checking in and readdressing things. But it's setting clearly defined goals and then following up with those with each other on those goals and where we're at and checking in. And Britt will she's so great at this where she'll be like, hey Tyler, because she knows one of my goals, one of my definite major purposes, one of my aims, right? One of my lighthouses is, dude, I want to be the best dad, husband that I can be. That's more important to me than anything, period. So and my relationship with my kids. And so if I'm leaning one direction too far, if I'm leaning too far to work, then she'll be like, hey, you know what? I think that Pax and Marley could really benefit from, a daddy-daughter dude date is what we call them. And I'll be like, and she says it in the most loving way. And I'm not like, but babe, fuck, I'm hungry. I'm hungry for success. Yeah, I'm out here succeeding. I'm busy. It's like, oh, fuck. You're right, man. You're right. Thank you so much, man. I need to put that back. Yes, thank you. Or it's, Ryan being like, hey, man, we really need this done. How can I help you? Is what Ryan will always say. Yeah, and I'll be like, oh shit, man, my bad. Let me dive into that. It's prioritizing, and it's it's not tolerating problems. We cannot let problems stand in the way of progression. So figure out what the cause is, what is causing the problem. Design a plan to fix that problem, and then take the necessary steps to get the results that you're wanting and needing. Right. So,
can I add something to the accountability
please,
there?
Yeah.
I think accountability as well is a huge service to whoever your business partner is or whoever it is that you're holding accountable.
Totally.
It has been to me when I'm held accountable, because there's a lot of things. We're very busy.
Yep.
We're very busy human beings. We have a lot of things that get tossed at us or thrown on our plate, and the accountability part of it really helps me stay focused on what's important, what is important now, right? What is it that I have to do right now, so that when I do get an accountability check, I can answer to that.
Totally.
Right. So it's almost a service. And if you look at it that way, you will love those accountability checks from your business partners, because you'll be able to report and return with the good things and good news and be able to help them. And in return, you're going to be able to do the same thing for them and add that service and value to them.
I love that perspective both ways. Like, understand that it's going to be great for you, but then understand that it's great for that other person. So if you're nervous, if you're anxious about, holding somebody accountable to a goal they have, dude, literally write down. And I write it down, man. Before I have a call, I literally just did this, man. Yeah. Yesterday, I'm not kidding you. I wrote down before I have this call that I know is going to be uncomfortable. This is why I need to address this. This is how this is going to benefit this person. This is what I want this person to take away from this. This is how I want to serve this person. And if, once again, just reframing it, and then you go into that with that intention, people are going to read your energy and your intention way more than whatever it is you say.
Yeah.
So go in and define what that intention is before you go into that situation. And I'm going to tell you that they're going to read your intention. They're going to know that.
And they're going to know that you care for sure.
Yes.
And that you're just wanting to help for sure. No, dude, I love it. Awesome. That's all that I have for you today, brother. Is there anything else you want to add in regards to business relationships?
One more thing. And it is, what makes me think of broker relationships or investors or anybody that you're trying to build a relationship with. And it's specifically in the multifamily space. People get so discouraged. And why do they get discouraged? It's because, they maybe spend 30 days or a month or maybe even less than that, dude, trying to build this relationship with someone. And that person doesn't bring them the deal or doesn't choose them for this deal or whatever, and they get discouraged. It takes most people 3-4 months or so, I don't know, to feel like you have this trust or this relationship with this person to bring them the best deals, to invest your hard-earned money into a deal. But most people stop nourishing that relationship after 30 days, as an example. We have to, and then that causes discouragement, right? So we have to be mindful of that. Be in it for the long term. Be in it for the long term. Focus on, once again, taking action now, but with this long-term result, knowing that the long-term result's going to be there. If not, discouragement's going to happen. And discouragement is the greatest stealer of dreams and success and partnerships and everything. It's what the adversary uses to hold people down. If you think about the word discourage, it literally means to remove someone's courage. So we have to fight that in ourselves all the time. But I'm really bringing it up to help you understand that your business partner, these people are also fighting it. So observe it in others. You're always making somebody feel a certain way. How are you making this person feel? How are they feeling? What's their energy? How can you help them? Okay, discouragement is the ultimate killer to what we're looking to do. So be that person to help people not get discouraged, but also recognizing yourself that, man, these relationships that you're trying to build and flourish, they might take some time.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But, man, more deals and opportunities and investors and all that kind of stuff are lost because of just not nourishing the relationship. Nourish that relationship. Great example, real quick, is Eric. Eric Chatterdown gave this example on the podcast that this broker that he was building a relationship with, and they had just been told that they won the deal. And then the next day he was told that randomly the seller ran into another person at the property and decided to award the deal to that person instead. Most people, I'm going to tell you what most people would have done. They would have been so pissed. And for good reason, dude.
Yeah,
they would have been pissed at that broker. They would have maybe even sent off an emotional email to that broker, lighten him or her up.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, they were frustrated, but what they did, and this is what makes them so great, is they remove the emotion and they focus on this other person and understand that had to have been so uncomfortable for that broker to call them and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. The seller totally pulled a 180. And so they put the focus on service. And that's the power of service, man. It takes the pressure off of you and it makes every encounter about that other person. And once again, people respond to what they feel. So what does that broker do? Brings them a pocket listing the next, I can't remember, a couple days later or something like that.
Yeah.
Which turns into the deal that they just closed, their second deal. So remember this, man. When something happens, put your your frustrations aside and focus on that other person and maintain that relationship. It's critical.
That's huge.
Okay,
huge.
Hawaiian value, real quick to wrap this up. We always got to do one.
Yeah.
And it goes right in line with this, which is mana. Do you know what mana means?
I do.
Let's hear it.
Vibes.
Good vibes, man. Good vibes. Aloha vibes, right?
Yes.
It is. That's it. Yeah. It's just, I truly believe that we can all have good mana. And if we have good mana, we will make the world better because of that mana. So yeah, mana is the Hawaiian word for energy and life source. And everything has mana in it. Everything. We gain mana by doing and becoming more aligned with God and with creating a strong flow of aloha, right? It's just everything good. But we lose mana by allowing any form of darkness into our lives. So this is the point that I want to point out here, though. We choose our mana. We get to choose what our mana is. So we do that by being just purposeful and becoming our best selves. So no matter where we go or what we do, we have to check in with what our mana is, what energy we're giving off. And Jax, me and you have talked about this a whole bunch. We feel responsible for it.
Yeah.
We feel responsible for the mana that we're bringing into this situation, this energy that we're bringing into this situation. So we're always making people feel something. What is that? Become aware of that. And if you become aware of that, other people will become aware of you, and in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. You can use it as an advantage for sure.
That is that good vibes, that mana. Y'all, how long today?
About 40 minutes.
Woo! You're welcome, y'all. Hope you took some good notes on relationships, man. Go build them, go flourish them, go nourish them, do all those things that feed them, whatever, and build your business, man. Thank you so much for tuning in, spending some time with us. Go share this podcast. Go review this podcast. That's all we ask, man. That's the form of payment we ask. If you pulled some value from this, go give us a review. Go share it with somebody else who might benefit from this podcast. That's the biggest form of flattery that we could ever receive, is that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we love y'all. Hope you have a great weekend. Peace.